Hello and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Gargi Rawat. Today the government has brought in a new ordinance as a response to the countrywide anger over the Kathua and Unnao rape cases involving minors. The cabinet has approved an ordinance that will now allow death penalty for the rape of minors. It also has several provisions for speedy trials in rape cases. But is this going to help resolve this epidemic of sorts that we're seeing of child rape cases across the country? Will this act as a deterrent to would-be child rapists? Well, first let's take a look at the report on the ordinance as well as the political reactions that we've seen through the day.
Death for the rape of girls below 12. An ordinance toughening the anti-rape law signed off by the cabinet today at a meeting convened by the Prime Minister within hours of his return from a 5-day foreign tour. A welcome decision for those whose lives have been devastated.
जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट करने वाले कर रहे हैं तो अच्छा कर रहे हैं, हमारे लिए उसमें इंसाफ मिलेगा और जो कातिल है उसको जल्दी जल्दी सजा होनी चाहिए.
हमें न्याय मिलने की अब संभावना है. 16 साल लड़कियों के साथ जितना गलत हो रहा है सबको फांसी की सजा दी जाए, हो सके तो कड़ी से कड़ी सजा दी जाए.
मेरा मानना है कि सब रेपिस्टों को फांसी होनी चाहिए, चाहे वो 12 साल की बच्चियों से हो और चाहे 16 से 50 साल के महिलाओं के साथ हो.
The cabinet also decided to increase the minimum punishment for rape of a girl below 16 years from 10 to 20 years, which could be extended to life imprisonment in the case of gang rape. Investigations in all rape cases will have to be done in 2 months, and the same time limit has been set for trial of all rape cases to be completed. The ordinance also introduces stringent bail provisions. The government's move comes against the backdrop of a public outrage after the horrific rapes in Kathua and Uttar Pradesh's Unnao, much of it initially directed at the leaders of the ruling BJP, seen to be protecting the rapist in both cases.
Whatever we demanded for a very, very long time is seeing the completion is actually being acted upon because people from our party are in the ruling government.
What makes me question the intent of the Bharatiya Janata Party and Modi government is that why did it take them so much time to reach to this conclusion?
The actual issue here is that those in government are defending the rapists. So the penalties have to be against those who are rapist rakshaks.
The death sentence will be a deterrent for child rapists, but the real test will remain the speedy investigation, prosecution and disposal of rape cases. In New Delhi, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
Now, NDTV has been campaigning for a safer country for our children by highlighting these almost everyday cases that we've been seeing. The latest, most heinous one, the rape and murder of an 8-month-old baby late last night in Indore. This comes after 2 more children were raped and murdered on Friday, an 11-year-old in Chhattisgarh, a 9-year-old in Etah of Uttar Pradesh. And of course, the case of the Kathua of rape and murder of a minor that sparked anger across the country. Another minor's body was recovered in Surat, a rape in Nagaon, and today of a 7-year-old in Tinsukia. Also, the body of a minor was found in Rohtak in Haryana. Well, we're asking you to break the silence over these rapes. NDTV will be reporting, will be tracking all these murders and rapes whenever and wherever they happen. We will also try and pursue these cases till the killers and rapists are found and punished. And do join us in giving our children a safer country to live in. And we're asking you to raise your voices against this. Tell your MLA, MP, Home Minister and Prime Minister that enough is enough. You can also write in to us at ndtv.com/break the silence. All right, to talk more about this issue and whether a death for a child rapist will act as a deterrent, we're joined in studio now by Amod Khan, former Joint Police Commissioner of Delhi and the founder of Prayas NGO and someone who's worked very extensively on such cases. Also, we have Mihra Sood, a human rights lawyer, joining us. Also, Professor Debraj Mukherjee, Associate Professor of Ramjas College, Delhi University, and also one of many academics who've today written an open letter to the Prime Minister about his response to these recent rape cases. We're also joined by Mr. Vikram Singh, former DGP of UP, who's joining us there from Lucknow, and Dr. Geeta Bhatt, Academic Council of Delhi University, also will be joining us. So I want to start this discussion with you, sir, and as someone who's worked on both sides, you've worked with the victims of rape and crimes. You've also worked with those who've perpetrated them. What is your reaction to today's development, death for child rapists?
No, in fact, I look at the whole thing in a very different perspective. You have clearly mentioned that two perspectives are very clearly there. Number one, that as a founder of Prayas, past 30 years, I have dealt with these cases from the victim's point of view, from families' point of view, from community's point of view. The first ever and the longest serving rape crisis intervention center has been run by Prayas, and 1500 cases we have dealt with. And mind you, these rape crisis intervention centers, we become part of investigation. The moment a case registered, the copy of FIR is shared with us, and of course we join the police, we join the doctor, and we try to understand the case. That is one angle. And police, of course, because I was a policeman, so I understand that part very well. Now let me clarify one or two points. One has to be a little sane and proper about the whole thing, not only emotional. We are bound to be emotional because the whole thing is such. See, first of all, Criminal Law Amendment Act, it came as a result of Nirbhaya, you know it very well. POXO came as a result of a national study on child abuse, which I was heading incidentally, 2007, wherein 52% of children, they came out to say that they had been sexually abused in some form or the other. I mean, that was the first breach of silence, because we thought that India is a very safe country. We thought children are well protected. But we realized then through such an objective study, it was a United Nations study conducted by us, 18,400 respondents were there. So we realized that yes, it's a problem. Sexual abuse takes place in India, and rapes are there. A large number of children are being raped also, and they are being sodomized. That came out clearly. Now the issue is that the law changed completely after that. POXO is not an ordinary law. Criminal Law Amendment Act is not an ordinary amendment. They dramatically have changed the law, which was there for decades and decades. Now the issue is that one change in law now, that is adding death sentence to the existing law and to make it slightly more
aggravated. Do you feel this is a knee-jerk reaction, or it's with the government wanting to be seen as taking action, given the nationwide outrage that there's been?
I would not like to call it a knee-jerk reaction. I would like to say that it was a progression which has reached a climax. Now the issue is that we are really talking about death sentences only. Death sentences are extremely rare. And as you know very well that despite the POXO being changed, despite the new law coming into existence, the death sentence will still remain rarest of rare. I hope I am clear. It has to be rarest of rare, and it is not so easy. It's very, very difficult. So the law is very much there. The POXO is being tested. Nearly 9,000 cases have taken place last year.
Yes, in fact, this is what many say, that the laws are there in place. We just need them to work better. Mihira, why don't you come in on this point?
I think that the death penalty for child rape that has been introduced today is a terrible, terrible idea. I think it is completely ignorant of the reality of child rape and the reality of the fact that death penalty has not proved to be a deterrent anywhere. Countries where it has been abolished have shown no increase in crime. But I want to focus for the purposes of this program on particularly rape and child rape, and why when it comes to these kind of offenses, death penalty is not just ineffective, but it is hugely counterproductive and extremely detrimental to the interests of the victims themselves. All right, there are 4 reasons that I'm going to put forth.
Go on.
Right. First of all, it completely ignores the fact that the majority of child rape victims and child sexual abuse victims are victimized in their own home, by their own family, by people they know. And when you have death penalty introduced, there is going to be incentive for them to push it under the carpet. All right,
they particularly in families
where the accused, the perpetrator is the sole breadwinner of the family. You know, there are so many cases where, you know, if it's not as if the mother or the other person involved in the family who knows about it is a monster that she wants her child to keep quiet about it. There are economic reasons, there are a lot of pressures, there are social pressures, they're living in very tightly bound communities where they'll just be excommunicated, and where death penalty is involved, the pressure will be that much greater. So you are going to be pushing these cases under the carpet. Second, there is no incentive then if you don't have a graded punishment between something like rape and murder. Now, and don't take this to mean that I advocate death penalty for murder either, but you certainly need to have a graded punishment between death and murder, between murder and rape. If you do not have that, there is no incentive to then not dispose of your primary witness, that is the
one of the
victim
concerns,
herself,
that
by killing
the
her.
rapist will actually kill the victim.
Because if the punishment is going to be the same, let me come to number 3 and number 4 very quickly.
All right.
Number 3, nobody in this has asked the victims, the children themselves, their families, what they want. And very few of them are going to say that they want a death penalty to be imposed. What they want is for the government to do some serious non-headliney work of providing rehabilitation, of taking care of them after the event. And fourthly, coming to that, it is not just about what happens after the event. This is a very easy way out for the government, after something like this has happened, to grab some brownie points by saying, look, we're cracking down really hard on this problem, we've introduced death penalty, while doing absolutely nothing preventative about it. And that is what is the need of the hour. But since that is not going to make headlines,
want to talk about
yes,
a
but
bit,
since that is not going to make headlines, death penalty is the easiest way out.
But one-stop centers for assistance to victims is also being announced in all districts. But Mr. Vikram Singh, I'd like you to come here and respond to what Mehra had to say about how she thinks this is a very bad move and the death penalty will not act as a deterrent in such cases.
To the extent that I would say that there should be less number of laws but that are faithfully implemented than to have a large number of laws that are loosely implemented. Amod, my respected colleague, has said that yes, that there is a DNA correlation between 13th Criminal Law Amendment Act, POCSO, and the present recommendation for death penalty. I, for one, for 36 years, have interrogated, questioned hundreds of rape accused. And I can tell you, if there is any fear, it is the fear of death in them. You ask old timers, because after 1991, there have hardly been any death penalties in the country. But those who knew the culprits and the rapists, that a district judge had come who would impose death penalty, rest assured, the crime rate went down. And I would question the validity, of all such orchestrated studies that say that death penalty has no impact. They have obviously
I also need to get
I need one very brief rebuttal exactly on that point.
Please don't be impatient. I have not finished as yet. I have listened to you very patiently.
Yes, go on, sir.
Now I would say that these are armchair human rights activists who I see no reason what moral right, what legal and what background do they have to oppose death penalty.